This video is a how-to guide for the basics of Adobe Premiere Pro. Your objectives for this lesson are to learn how to import video or pictures, to work with the timeline, to edit audio and video, to make a title slide, put label over images, and to transition between images. You need to take notes on each of these skills as I go through them, which might involve you having to pause and go back and take notes. You will be using these skills to edit your editing project as well as your final documentary. The first thing you need to do in Adobe Premiere Pro is import items. When you import items, they will come down to this little window in Premiere Pro, which is called the project window. And the project window can be accessed by going up to Window and down to Project, and then it will appear again. But if you want to bring something into it, you can see I already have some items in here that we're going to use later. You need to do Control-I, which is for import, and then you want to find the items that you want to import. So these are all books that I like because I'm making a video about myself. And so you can select more than one at once by either clicking on them, holding down the Shift key and clicking on the last one. Or if you want to just take two of these, you can click on it and hold down the Control key and click on another one. So we're going to click on them all and import them. And it brings them in right here. So the first thing you need to do once you have some materials is actually pull them over to your timeline. This is your timeline. It's where all the editing is actually going to happen. In addition, we have, shows whatever you're clicking on over here. If you double click on it, it brings them up. And that's something we'll get to later. And this is over here. This will display whatever is in your timeline. So here's the title that I made for the future. So this side displays what's in the project folder. This displays what you're editing. So the first thing I'm going to take is a video, because that's what you guys will mostly be editing using. So I have a video of my dogs. I know everyone listening to this is shocked. And you're going to, when it pulls in, sometimes it'll pull in and it won't fit everything. If that's the case, you can just right click and hold on here. So I've pulled my video over, and as you can see here, it's a picture of my dogs trying to play with each other, even though sometimes they struggle to do so. And so I'm not going to play this whole video, which was like 40 seconds, in my informational video. I'm only going to select parts of it to play. So once I know what parts I want to play, so let's say I want to play the parts for the class from 14 seconds right here to 18 seconds. So in order to cut, I go over to this tool called the razor tool. Looks like a razor. And I cut. And then if I want to cut the other part, I can also can watch to be sure where I know I want to go. So let's just be sure I like everything that I have here. So here's where my cut's going to start. And then I'm going to stop it right there. And so I'm going to also razor there. Then I go back to the pointer tool, which is the default, and I click on the parts that I do not want anymore, and I can just hit delete. And I can hit delete here. So now I've got 13 seconds over here that has no sound on it. So if I want to go take this and be the first thing in there, I can click ripple delete, which I clicked by right clicking. And now it puts this at the very start of my video. So now the start of my video about me is two goofy dogs. I think it seems appropriate. So opening with that video, I should probably let my audience know what's going on. So the next thing I need to do is I need to make title slide. And every title slide that you make is going to go over here in the project menu. So when you make it and it disappears, it went over here. Okay, so you're going to go to File, going to go to New, and you're going to go to Legacy Title. And I would just call this, Intro Title. That way you'll be able to find it easier later. So once you're in here, you have a lot of different styles that you can choose from if you want to type in that way. So I could use that exact font and size, and I'm going to put whatever I want to put, and there, it's pretty basic. If I want to change it, I can just click on one of these and it will change it till I find the one that I like. And there's a lot of settings in here, but right now I'm just showing the basics. Maybe I want to have something a little jazzier, and so maybe I want to put a color behind it. So here I can add and make that color. And if I want to arrange it, if I right click, it'll give me the option to arrange it, and I can send that to the back. So now I've got a little bit more visually interesting, even though I don't know about these color choices. So when I go out of here, remember we called it intro title. Over here, we now have this thing that's called intro title, and we want to drag it to the timeline so that after the video of the dogs, you now have this. Now, you might not need a very long version of this. So if I want to cut it, I don't even need to use the razor tool on something like this. On a picture, on a title, you can just pull it. So if you go to the end of the slide, you can make it longer, you can make it shorter. All right, so now if I look, I'm at 4 seconds here. Maybe I only want this to be 2 seconds. So I'm going to cut it till it gets there. There we go. So that's my intro title. Now I'm going to have maybe some pictures of things that I like. So for example, I love books. So here is a picture of a book that might be one that I recently read that I like. I'm going to add some more books that I've pre-selected. So you should have all these things prepared in advance, just like you'll have your videos shot. And so I can, if I want to, click on the razor if it's quicker to get rid of things. And I'm going to bring in some other books that I like. So there we go, another book. And notice how it's small. Remember, if I right click and I go to set to frame size, it'll make it bigger so that it fits more. This one, if you notice, is already set to frame size, almost. And then if I wanted to scale to frame size, that's different. So that will make it a little bit more scaled in. So those, you can play around with those. See how this one's scaled to frame size, but it makes it look worse. So there seems to be some variation in there. All right, so we've added some video. We've cut the video. One thing about this video is the sound isn't very interesting. It's a lot of growly, right? So one thing you can do if you want the video but you don't want the sound is you can right click again. All right, right click, and you might have to go all the way down, and you will see this setting that says unlink. This makes it so that you can delete the audio or the video and just keep the other one that you don't want, that you do want. So here I've deleted the audio because maybe I'm going to add some audio later, either a voiceover or maybe some music, which I can show you how to do. So one thing, another thing that you need to learn how to do is transitions. So this is a pretty abrupt shift from doggy to title. So if I want to add transitions, I go up to Window and I go down to Effects, and they have a setting called Video Transitions. And all of these are video transitions, and so they're different categories: 3D motion, dissolve. I like dissolve because it's less goofy. So here's a goofy transition. Iris is a goofy transition. You take it and you put it between them. I think this is goofy because this looks like it's, I just learned how to use PowerPoint animations. Dissolve, on the other hand, okay, so here's cross dissolve, is a little bit more professional looking. So it's up to you, but remember, you're trying to create a documentary that people are, that's going to be taken seriously. So I would say it's a good idea to keep the same kind of transitions. So once you've played around, here's dip to black, and to see if you like certain transitions, you can try those. So if I'm going to add another one here, maybe I'm going to dip to black again, and see it goes to black. You can actually double click on the transition and say how long you want it to take. So maybe I want a slower transition, so I made that 2 seconds. And so now it dips to black and is a little bit more dramatic. Or I can make it faster. So rather than 2, I can make this 30 seconds. And so it'll be quicker. All right. So that's something that once you are fine-tuning it, you can do. Another thing you're going to need to know how to do is to put a label on your screen over an image. Because, for example, when you're interviewing someone, you want to be able to tell the audience who they are. So I will show you how to do that with this picture, with this video of my dogs. So I will put their names up there. It's the same as making a title. You go up to New, you go down to, you go up to File, you go up to New, and you go down to Legacy Title. And I'm going to put the dogs' names so that it's easy to find, Finn and Sydney. And then in here, I'm going to put it where I want it. So maybe once again, I'm going to create a box. And this box isn't very interesting. I'll show you guys some examples of some good ones. Maybe one thing you'd like to do is make a more a rounded version of this. So for example, they even have some right there. You can also add an edge where around it, if you'd like, so to make it more interesting. But the key part is that now you're going to write within this box, and you need to, the color here is still set to white, so that won't show up. So I'm going to change it here and make some blue text. Okay, and so, and then I can start typing. Finn and Sydney. Once you have this, you can, I'm on my element here, I can center it within the box by making that, I can either drag it that way, which, you know, doesn't look too bad, but you want to keep it uniform. So once I made this slide about Finn and Sydney, if I have some other photos to label later, I can go ahead and copy that one and just change the title. So there I'm back to my project window, and there is my Finn and Sydney slide. So I'm going to put this in the video layer above Finn and Sydney. All right, so I have to put it above so that it goes over the video. So now you can see, you can tell who these lovely puppies are that I am showing you here. Now, notice how it goes over into my introduction. I need to cut that off before there. So I might cut them right there and just keep the title slide up for a brief period. So here's my video that I made in this short span, showing some of the things that I love. Clearly, this is not very doesn't have very much audio. It has no audio, so you might want to add some sound. When you guys add sound, I'm going to make you get free use music, but since this isn't going to be published anywhere, I'm just going to grab a song from my iTunes library. So remember, I do Control-I again to import. Control-I. And then I'm going to go to my music. Let's move these. Music. And I can search my library. So I'm going to pick something that is only instrumental, that I know that. So I'm going to choose this is a song that's violin. And I'm going to, there it is. It's the same as pulling in a movie or a picture, but I pull it now to the audio level over here. So if I go to the beginning of this, I pull it in under audio. Audio? Maybe. There we go. And so now, I have more audio than I have video, which means if this was the end of my editing, I would cut it off right there and get rid of that so that this would be the end. There are also audio transitions and that you can use. So if you wanted to look at those, you could go over to Effects, and rather than being in the video transitions, you can look at audio transitions, crossfade, and you could add one to the end of that so that when it's at the end, it kind of fades away. So it's a nice detail to have. This is just a very basic intro to what Premiere Pro can do, but hopefully it gives you some insight into what we'll be doing in class.